Hi, friends and colleagues from GWFM community. We have Rogers, who is the WFM leader, global leader, who has led Infosys and currently leading very good organization in terms of great capacity. He has taken a big leap in his career. Great opportunity for us to listen to Rogers and understand that how he really developed his career in WFM. What's his passion towards it? I'm sure that this will definitely give a great opportunity for us to understand how we can make career in WFM and what decision that we need to take in each stage and what are the learning methods or what time or which area that we got to focus on in terms of learning. Rogers comes with more than 2 decades of experience in IT services, resource management, and workforce management. Great to have you with us, Rogers.
Thank you, Shiva, for inviting. It's a pleasure to be here this evening. Yeah, thank you so much.
Rogers is based out of Australia. Really thank him for taking his time out besides his busy schedule. Really going to have great insights from you, Rogers.
Sure. Thanks, Shiva. I'd like to share whatever learnings, experiences that I've got in the last maybe 15, 20 years being in this function. Yeah, happy to share those knowledge with the wider group, actually. Yeah, definitely, yes.
Great. WFM is a growing function. A lot of opportunities that we are seeing in multiple industries, IT, ITS, BQ, contact centers, and then also in manufacturing nowadays, aeronautical, hospitality, and multiple industries are looking at WFM function as something very essential function. Whereas finding the right talent at the right location is really becoming a challenging, where getting the quality of talent with the skills and expertise is really becoming very difficult. High time for WFM professionals to continuously skill and upskill, understand the market trends, and be ahead of the curve of the industry. So that will really help us growing in terms of our career, and we can add more value to the business and also to the organization. With this, we're going to have a conversation with Rogers. Rogers, what made you take up workforce management? We want to know how you started your career and what made you to pick your function of workforce management. What made you to continue with this?
Sure. Yeah. Thanks, Shiva. I didn't start my career in the workforce planning side. Actually, I began my career in the area of quality assurance. Was the starting of my career. So mostly in the business excellence side is where I started with. So I was working with the various function leads in understanding the business processes, mapping those processes, understanding the process improvement areas. So that is when I came across this particular function called the resource management or workforce planning, which was basically a small function at that point of time. Maybe it's around 15 years back, which was just doing quietly. They were doing a good job, but it was very quiet actually. Nobody was much noticing this function at all actually. But after understanding the kind of processes that they're holding, the kind of value addition that they're bringing into the organization, that is when I started learning more about this function. And sooner, maybe in a year later, when I got an opportunity to move into this function, I didn't have a second thought actually. Oh, this is the place where I have to be actually. So that is at the time, at the beginning of my career, maybe 3-4 years when I started working. That's when I moved into this function actually. And it's been almost, I think, 14 years since I have been in this role, in this function. Gone through the starting of the pyramid through the various levels. I've seen the function growing all over the years actually. And that's how my journey into the WFM started actually.
That's really fascinating to know. And then now you're a passionate WFM expert and leader. And I hope that you love your job, what you do.
Yes, definitely. Yes. Yeah. Because WFM as such gives a lot of challenges every day, I would say. No day is same for a WFM professionals, be it in the demand side, or the supply side, in the analytics side. So every day throws different challenges actually, and how effectively you are able to manage that. That brings the beauty of this function actually.
That's great insight. So, what do you think WFM or resource management professionals should do to perform better and add value to the organization?
Yeah. So when I started my career in WFM, so the career advice that or the initial years was a little difficult for me actually. Frank, I would say that see, I used to do a lot of work, but hardly I would see any appreciation coming in for any of this kind of work that I was doing actually. Though the volume of the work, the kind of work that I was doing was much better than I would say compared to my previous tenure in quality. But so when I reached out to my manager at that point of time and telling that this is what it is, I'm not really happy with the kind of things happening. I'm not getting appreciated for anything. So he made this comments telling that WFM function is like a sandwich. It's like the feeling of a sandwich basically. If you take a sandwich, you see the bread pieces on the both sides, and you don't see the filling inside. But if you don't have that filling inside, it doesn't become a sandwich actually. It doesn't add taste to that one. That's exactly what the WFM function is many a times actually. People may not see this function operating actually, but it is there hidden in everything that we do within an organization. So if you're not there, it holds the entire operation of the company actually. But you may not get recognized, you may not get appreciated, but you need to be there actually. So that is the first learning which I had when I started my career in the WFM function, and I believe that over the years of time, this has visibly been seen actually. So though people may not recognize this as a necessity in some of the cases, but as we start adding value to the company, as we start adding value to the business, people realize that yes, this function is very much required. This function, without this function, we cannot move the operations forward actually. That's the kind of feeling that the delivery, the sales, or any other piece in the organization, they start getting this kind of the feeling, because it's basically the kind of value addition that this function is able to bring in actually. So when you look at a WFM professional also, I would see a WFM professional as somebody who has got skills in areas of HR, skills in areas of marketing, skills in areas of technology. I would say he should be an all-rounder. I see. So this might be something surprising, but over the years of time, what I see is that unless you have got HR skills actually, you need to have an empathetic skill, you need to have a people management skill, you need to understand what are the kind of things that the resources are going through actually. So you need to understand their career aspirations. So for all this to happen, you need to be an effective people manager. So you need to also have a good marketing skills, because you need to market your employees, you need to market your resources actually, you need to sell them in most of the cases actually. So you need to know how to market your resources basically. So you need to be market. You need to have finance skill, because at the end of the day, WFM is all about analytics. You need to bring out these hidden stories behind the data points. So you need to know the basics of the finance, how the things work, the basic concepts like the revenue productivity or the utilization or the profitability, how it impacts, and all those things need to be known. So you need to be a finance professional. So in these ways, if you look at a WFM professional, has to be an all-rounder at least in these areas actually, because and he need to be a good salesperson also basically. So these are the basic skills I would say that every WFM professional needs to have actually. But rest everything is not a very complicated kind of a thing that you cannot learn actually, because everything that a WFM professional can do can be learned on the job actually. There's nothing like that you need to you need to spend years studying and then you need to come into the function. There's nothing like that. Yes, definitely you need to add value to your learnings over the course of time by doing certifications and the other things, but definitely this is something that everybody who wishes to start a career in WFM can definitely look into this as a function. But you need to come with this mindset that I need to be open in all these areas, telling that okay, I don't want to learn the numbers. I'm not comfortable with the numbers. No, that is not the way in which a WFM professional should be actually. You need to be very comfortable. You need to be somebody who is loving the numbers. You need to be a good salesperson. You need to be a good communicator, because it's all about negotiation with the customers, the internal customers, the external clients. So how effectively you are able to communicate, resolve the disputes. So these are some of the skills that you definitely need to have actually. So yeah, so it's like, yeah, I would say it's a mix of everything that a WFM professional should have actually. Yeah.
So really well said, Rojas. Like this is really truly eye opener for many of the WFM professionals. So far, they've been just thinking, having some soft skills and all. You very well mentioned that they should have sales and marketing, finance, and HR, and leadership qualities, where because they're going to help organization improve the profitability, and they need to really work with the stakeholders better, and marketing, and understand the the numbers better, understand the business better and clients better. Was really very well mentioned. One of the critical skills that you mentioned, very very uh, insightful and great learning. Guys, thank you.
Yeah.
Moving on to the next question, which is now industries are really looking at W function as something essential. Earlier, it was something like support function, right? Or just a function where it's there in like HR and operations and quality and all. But today's scenario, without WFM, any mid-sized companies that I'm talking about and all big-sized companies, they won't be able to operate. They won't be able to work on getting the right resource at the right time at the right cost, right? So the function is really becoming very important. What does a WFM leader or function should do to create the visibility with the management, create the visibility with the board, create the visibility with the stakeholders? What do you say that
Yeah.
they should do something differently?
So I think that's a really good question, Ashiv. I think see, gone are those days when WFM was only about uh, demand supply management. So these days, people expect a lot from the WFM function because, as I believe that WFM is one function which has got linkages to every part of the organization actually. So a WFM professional will have definitely knowledge about what's happening within the field of HR, what's happening within the field of business, what's happening in delivery. So he's basically an all-rounder actually. So the organization or the leadership also expects WFM professionals to bring in that kind of insights into those discussions actually. For those companies where WFM is still an evolving function or still not thought about having this function in place, I think this is kind of a right time that they look in WFM as a function to start growing in, because we are working in those times where the clients are so demanding, the margins are under high pressure. So all this looks and all these parameters actually leads to a place where you need to provide the right resources at the right cost, at the right time, at the right place, basically. So that's where the core of WFM function lies in, basically. So how are you effectively able to do that actually? So just to give an example, so a couple of years back when I was working with my previous organization, that time, so we had a scenario where the utilization, overall utilization of the company was dropping down actually, and the leadership couldn't solve that problem because it was they couldn't find the effective solution for that one. That's when the time they thought that this is a kind of a role that we need to create actually, a resource management function that needs to be created, and we need to give that function the ownership of the resources. So earlier what was happening is that the resources were being held in particular groups or in silos within different parts of the organization. So nobody was knowing what is exactly happening with these resources. They were not being shared across, they were not being utilized effectively. So once a single function came into picture, so that is when the leadership had a view about, yes, these are the kind of skill set that is available, these are the kind of skill set that is currently ready for deployment in different parts, but they are not getting shared actually. So how do we enable the free movement of the resources? How do we reskill these resources where there is a skill gap actually? So how do we enable the career movement of these resources because of the insights that the resource management function brought in actually at that point of time? And from there we saw that because of the implementation of this function, the processes within this function, we could see a huge jump in the overall utilization of the company, because the resources started getting utilized, the bench numbers started coming down, the billability started increasing. So all those benefits were brought in actually. So that was the initial areas actually. Now moving forward another 5 years, 10 years down the line, the expectation is that how does resource management function help the business in forecasting the needs, actually the skill requirements. So today I'm working in an environment where the changes are dynamic, actually. So the skills are changing every day, every 2 years, 3 years, you have new skill sets coming in, actually, or even in yearly type you can see the new skills changing, actually. So how do you forecast those skill requirements? How do you enable the business to hire the people, to train the people, to reskill the people for those business requirements? So those are the kind of expectations that the leadership is having today. So as WFM professionals, as WFM leaders, how are you able to meet those expectations, actually? That's one part of that. Second is basically on the resourcing side as well, actually. So what are the effective means of fulfillment? So earlier we had a traditional channel of fulfillment where we look at the people internally, or we go and hire externally. But nowadays we are in a channel where it's all about dynamic fulfillment, just in time fulfillment. So you don't need to keep a bench as such. You need to definitely keep a bench, but how do you minimize the bench? How do you minimize the bench days? How do you hire effectively? Basically, what are all the options of hiring, fulfilling those demands? So these are the kind of insights that the WFM professional definitely needs to bring in, actually, to the table, to reduce the cost. So the fundamental lever here is basically the optimization of the cost, actually. So everybody is focused on cost. So what are the kind of value addition as a WFM professional that you can bring in to reduce the cost? So one classic example is basically what we did previously in our organization was to look at the pyramid in which we are operating. So every project, there are a couple of projects who are running at the high cost, actually. So how do we reduce the cost? So we, as a WFM group, actually, we had taken up a couple of projects who were running at high cost and did an analysis of the skill breakup, the role mix of that project, actually, projects. So we came to know that a lot of optimization could be done internally within the staffing which was done in those projects, actually. So like you are rotating the high cost resources, replacing them with the lower cost resources without affecting the client, the client expectations. So reskilling the existing resources so that they can take up higher roles. So and building the bottom of the pyramid with the lower cost resources. So these are the some of the suggestions that the WFM professionals were able to give in to make those changes in those projects, actually. So these are some of the things that I think going forward, the value addition is basically in terms of the cost, in terms of the business strategy, in terms of the demand supply management effectively. These are some of the areas definitely WFM professionals should be focused on, actually.
That's amazing insights. In fact, there are a lot of things now that WFM is focusing on. As you said, not just on looking at the demand and supply anymore. And demand and supply is just a basic, and considering the business changing day by day, and the current scenarios where in inflationary and then recession, I think WFM is really playing a very key, prior to this pandemic and pre-pandemic, post-pandemic time. WFM played a very key role, and that's when CEOs started to think that yes, WFM is a very key function. And I see that a lot of companies investing time and money and also resources in WFM function, strengthening the WFM function, and also investing in WFM tools. So something very important. Do you have any insights on WFM technologies that, like how WFM technology can really help organization?
Definitely, yes, Shiva. So I have worked in different organizations where there has been tools effectively used in WFM function, and where there has been nothing being used in WFM function also. So both the scenarios are good to analyze, actually. So the organization where I worked in, where we have defined tools, processes, systems, etc. in place, the things has been very smooth. So we have been able to manage the demand side, the supply side, the analytics side, everything very effectively. But the challenge which I see is that people become so much dependent on these tools, and the I would say the agility of the complete process at times becomes lost, actually. Because so for example, if you want to allocate a resource, actually, you need to go through the process of a demand creation. You need to get those resources identified. You need to map those resources to the demand, and then the resumes need to be sent to the hiring managers. Then he evaluate the resources. So it's a long process that goes through, because you need to have, because there is system everywhere that connects with these dots, actually. But I also see an organization where there's no system in place. So I have a client demand. Okay, I take their resume, just give it to the client. The client interviews the candidate and selects the candidate. So it's a very fast process. It happens within maybe an hour, within 1 or 2 hours. The complete demand and supply mapping happens here. But in a different, in another environment where systems are in place, it doesn't happen. It does not happen. But the problem, there is advantages, disadvantages in both these models actually. The first model is scalable actually. So you can have thousands of demands, thousands of resources getting managed effectively when there is a system in place. But the second model, it is not a scalable model. You can manage maybe 50 resources, 100 resources in that model, but if you're having 1,000 resources managing thousands of demand requirements, that is not possible actually. So you need to have a mix of where you have a good system in place, but you don't lose the agility actually. You are able to maintain that agility in place actually. You are able to meet the client requirements as soon as possible. That is what the requirement is actually. That's what the need of the hour is. Like, see, for even, see, so when there is a requirement coming in, it's not that the client is only coming to you. The client might equally be going through multiple other vendors for the same requirement actually. So you cannot tell that, okay, I need to go through these complete system processes in place and then finally I'll give you the list of candidates. That we may not have time to wait for that. Yes, you need to have systems in place, but you need to be dynamic. You need to be fast enough to respond to those requirements as well. So that needs to happen actually. So system needs to be there, definitely yes, but more than, along with the system, you need to know how to cater to those demands in a very effective way, very fast way, and so that the client expectations or the client satisfaction is being completely met actually. So that's my take on the systems and the processes of WFM actually. Yeah.
Absolutely, Rojas. You're very well mentioned. Technology is essential. At the same time that, what technology is there, how do we really use that? The agility, how do we really, like cater to the demands? How do you really help organizations save the cost and also improve the profitability, utilization, and optimize better? And these things are very important, and these are all very key roles.
Yes, sir. Yep.
So, last question, Rojas. Just want to check with you that your experience. What are the behavioral skills required for the WFM professionals? One is functional, of course, understanding the business, and then technically that they should really be good in Excel, PowerPoint presentation, and then also like if they have any tools and technologies nowadays, like all analytics driven, new technologies in the AI and all. Coming to the behavior perspective, what do you think that they should really have? Is it that empathy is something very important, and other skill set they should really have? So your perspective that when you look at a candidate you want to interview in your organization, or like your previous experience when you have interviewed, recruited some of the WFM professionals, what do you really looked at, and what do you think that important that WFM professionals should know, and who you think that right candidate to be recruited?
Yeah. So I would say the most important skill that I would consider for myself or any available for professional is somebody who can always remain cool actually. And that's what I would see, because when you say that WFM, it's always a firefighting that happens in a WFM profession actually. Like there's the demand side which is always putting pressure on you. There's always a supply side where you need to improve the billability actually. So you're always on fire actually. So in those situations, how effectively are you able to remain in calm actually and manage those situations rather than getting into that firefighting mode, rather than getting into those kind of situations where the things are not going in a good shape and you are making things more difficult for the people to manage, rather than being remaining cool. How to add value to those situations actually. So maybe you need to communicate effectively in those situations. Maybe there are situations where I have seen those delivery people, they need somebody to listen to actually. They have a lot of things to share actually. But
Sure.
WFM maybe an effective person whom they can share all those things that they're going through actually. So maybe the demand side, the supply side, those challenges that they're having. So a WFM professional, definitely first thing is they need to always remain calm. They always remain composed, always be patient, be a good listener basically. That's the most important thing, because most of the inputs for a WFM professional comes from being a good listener. It can be it can be online meetings that comes through the things that you hear, but also the offline conversation that happens. Actually, you need to have a good relationship established with your stakeholders. That's the most important part. So because this function cannot sustain without having a good relationship with the stakeholders. So you need to know who are your key stakeholders. You need to have a good relationship with them, because most of the insights that I have got in my function in throughout my career is through these offline talks, offline conversations, these coffee chats. So all those conversations which I have with these leaders, that's when that we come to know about various things happening within the organization. So you come to know, okay, this is happening there actually. Oh, this is where I can add value there actually. So this may not come in a formal meeting actually, but this comes in informal conversations. So that's what you should be open to, those kind of things actually. And the other thing that I think a WFM professional would definitely be having is basically be patient in all the situations actually. So because you are expected to support the business, you are expected to give add value to the business. So you need to be patient. You need to, because there are situations where people will shout at you. People will tell that you are not adding any value. People might escalate against you. But in all those situations, how do you remain patient actually? How do you keep yourself calm and composed actually? So that's also very important aspect of a WFM professional. And fourthly, I would say that not from a soft skill point of view, but definitely uh, adequate knowledge of the business is very much essential for a WFM professional. So when I say business, you cannot just be limited to the area in which you are operating. For example, so when I interviewed a candidate at a few years back, the question which I asked this candidate was that as a WFM professional, what value addition can you learn from looking at the quarterly results of this company actually? Uh, so he told me that there is nothing that a WFM professional can learn from quarterly results, because that is a finance area, and this is completely a different function actually. But what I felt was that having a business knowledge, like being in the quarterly results, like there are a lot of insights that you can learn from those actually. Looking at the way in which the revenue of the company is growing, looking at how the areas in which company is operating today, looking at the utilization, from looking at the attrition numbers, looking at the revenue productivity numbers. So these are all the insights that you can learn from those things actually. So you need to be open to learning actually. So whatever things that you can learn, that whatever things that is coming in your way, you need to be open to that learnings actually. So as a WFM professional, I feel that we shouldn't shut ourselves to any of those things actually. So be open to everything. Be open to get as much information as possible from all the possible sources. But you can definitely, yes, filter out what is required for you, what is not required for you. But be open for that actually. So who are ask you for help, it might not be your area, but be open for that. Okay, I can let me try and see what I can extend support. Maybe you don't know, like you might be getting next piece of work from that area actually. So you be always open to helping people in whatever areas that you could actually. So I think this is some of the things that as a WFM professional that have helped me in my career actually all throughout these years. And these are some of the skills which I'm trying to grow as well over the years as well. So yeah, that's what it is.
So much, but just you shared a lot of perspective and point of view from the different professional skills, capability, and then behavioral aspects are concerned. Truly educating and learning for the different professionals, and the profession is running. I mean, profession is growing day by day and becoming very critical. Getting the right talent is really becoming very difficult. However, organizations are attempting to skill and upskill internally with the certifications, and also, like with the new technologies, and nowadays, all the analytics skills, and the soft skills and all. So essentially, I learned that what WFM professionals should really have these skills to add more value to the business and more value to the uh, team, stakeholders, and also to the clients. Truly educate.
Exactly, that's
Any,
true.
any
Yeah.
last few tips that you want to advise for the fellow WFM professionals in the community?
Yeah. So as I mentioned in the beginning, like WFM always like the filler of a sandwich actually. So many times it is always easy to get demotivated because people may not be appreciating for the work that you're doing, but the reward will definitely come in. Actually, just to give an example, like when the function was started in my previous organization, it was just a new function that got started there actually, and nobody knew that what this function is going to add value, or this was considered as a business enabling function actually. But 6 years, 7 years down the line, so we have an annual award which is given to the best business enabling functions. So over the next 3 years, WFM function was awarded as the best business enabling function actually.
Amazing.
So from nowhere it started to the best business enabling function. So that's the kind of transition that this function had, the impact that this function had created in the organization. So that's where it is actually. So you don't have to get demotivated with the things not getting appreciated or not getting recognized for the work that you're doing. But yes, definitely rewards will come, and it will come at the right point of time. We just need to keep doing the good work so that we keep adding value to the organization in whatever ways that we can, and rest. Yeah, rest will be taken care. Actually, I would say. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, as you mentioned, the function would take time to create an impact, and also it would take time to create some kind of presence in front of the management and also with the clients and all. I think uh, it, I think in WFM leader who plays a key role in terms of creating kind of presence at the same time. WFM professionals really deal with the stakeholders. It really bring a lot of value. Today's world, I think, kind of technologies that we have, kind of critical business situation that we have, easily be able to recognize up to the management level. However, WFM leaders should really play a key role, taking the team with the or her to drive business profitable and taking care of the resources and future readiness and future business readiness and all. So together, the different function is a key function and critical one in the organization, continue to be one. And I'm sure that, we would really bring a lot of value as a revenue, the organization, and, assure revenue, getting the right people at the right time, and also future predictions of what decision that management should take, either to hire more or hire less or utilize better, optimize better in all these manners.
Definitely. Yep. I totally agree to it. Yep.
Great.
Going forward, we'll
Yeah,
have those days where WFM um, is actually now seen, but WFM is definitely being seen as the most value-adding function in the organization. So that's the days which is going to definitely come in actually.
absolutely. Thanks, Rogers, for your valuable time. Rogers is one of the geo leaders there in NCS Group. He's based out of Australia, Melbourne. Rogers comes with close to 2 decades of experience in WFM. Great insights and great learning from you, Rogers. We want to have this published with our community. I'm sure that many WFM professionals would learn from your insights. Also, we will make this as a kind of report where people can read this as a kind of blog and we learn from your insights. I really learned a lot from you and from your experience. I'm sure that
Thank you, Shiva, for the great work that the WFM community is, as well as the GWFM group is doing, actually connecting the WFM professionals, sharing the learnings, insights through the various conferences, forums, hackathons. I think it's a fabulous work. We never had such kind of forums existing in place, but because of the kind of effort that GWFM group has been putting in, at least we are now globally connected. So we feel that yes, there are professionals. Otherwise, we were like just a frog in the well actually. So we were doing some kind of work, but we don't know what is happening outside. But we know that now this function is a globally recognized function. Everywhere this is existing, there are professionals that are working, and it's all because of the kind of good work that the GWFM group has been able to do. And thank you so much for the leadership that you're bringing into this group actually, Shiva. Thank you so much for that. Yeah.
thanks. Just like it's like a community where people like you, leaders like you, would come forward and helping out, speaking like this, and sharing your insights and bringing value has really been helping out. And we are one community, and we got to really help each other to learn from each other. Also, like how we can really add more value, and share the best practices, and like stories, how we can really help each other. World is too small. And in these days, we know that who's hiring where and what's happening, right? Because of technology and social media. And WFM is really a high time for function to create value in the organization.
Yep.
Your insights have been valuable and great learnings. Thank you so much for taking your time out.
Sure. Yep.
It's really a great learning from you. Looking forward to catching up with you for future activities with you. Thank you.
Thanks, Shiva. Thanks for the time. Yeah. Thank you so much for inviting. Yeah.